All right. What's going on, guys? No one's here yet, but there might be some people showing up tonight. But today we're going to go over the pound for pound number one all time. It's been a countdown that started with number 20, and it has taken a few months, and we're now down to number one. And I'd like to ask you guys who you think that is. Who in your head do you think that is pound for pound the number one hitter of all time? Just ask yourself that question. Who comes to your mind? And we're going to go over his swing today. And first, I want to go over just some things that have been sent to me, some videos, some questions, and then we'll get to the pound for pound number one hitter of all time. So I hope everyone's summer is going well. We're about to get started back at school. Those of you who are playing fall baseball, that'll be coming up. And maybe you're winding down your summer teams right now. I'm not sure. Maybe that's probably winding down, I would think. Be interested to hear how that's been going for you guys. So let's I'm going to share my screen here, and I'll go, let's see. And we'll go through some of these things that people have sent me. See if I can find it. I think that's it. All right. All right. Let's go. So this is a video that was sent to me. Obviously, this is Fernando Tatis. This is an interesting swing. If we take a look at it here, you can see a nice secondary cushion on that move right there. And this is a way to do it. He doesn't exactly put all his weight onto the front side there, but you can see he's a little early on this pitch, right? And he just kind of hangs out. Now Tatis has one of the best swings that I have seen in the major leagues today. His teammate actually has one of the best as well, Machado. And then you see, I think that's a Reyes right there. And, and I have a lot to say about a Reyes too. I think a Reyes could be a lot better than he is. I don't think he's having such a great year this year. And I think he really needs more lead side in his action. As you guys know, I don't approve of, I don't condone trying to be a slap hitter. I just think it's silly. If you're going to touch the ball that much, why not have power too? To me, you're just choosing to have a low amount of power for no good reason. So there you have Tatis in a great position at contact, by the way. Not only a great secondary cushion. I mean, this is a swing you should really be proud of. Look at that. Just halts a little bit on that front leg. And then he doesn't really shift his weight very much. But if we look at it in regular motion, you can see he's just a little bit early on that. And he hits a home run. Awesome, man. But then he carries on like this. It's just unfortunate, man. I just can't stand that behavior. It's just like, be cool, man. Be cool. Like, it's played out. This skipping and banging your chest and looking at your dugout and all these monkeys coming out of the dugout. Like, it really is just so distasteful, I mean, like, it's played out. It's just played out. Like, I think it was probably cool, like, the first couple weeks that people were doing it. It was like, oh, I haven't seen that before. But it's been like 10 years now. It's pretty played out. Let's stop acting like idiots, you know? It's just it's unsightly. Don't do it. I mean, I guess I would compare it to like, if you were gonna ask someone out on a date, and they said yes, and you start jumping around like that. Would you do that? It's just really strange. Um, Yandy Diaz. Someone was talking to me about this guy's swing, or sent me this video actually. So I wanted to comment on it. This guy was a good hitter. This guy, I don't know his name. I forget his name. The guy for MLB Network, but I just can't stand hearing him talk. Just because you played Major League Baseball does not mean you know a lot about the swing. Just because you played pro baseball or high level college, these people think that just because they played high level baseball that you're an expert on the swing. And this is the mistake that major league teams have been making for years now. And that's why there's a huge opportunity right now for teams to hire guys like Richard Skank. I mean, honestly, like people dog on Richard Skank. Hey, he's got a method. What is his name? Mark DeRosa. Does he have a method? You know what I mean? Like, does anyone else have a method? I haven't heard any. I do. And Skank does. I mean, could you say that deceleration is a method? I mean, it's just such a horrible method, but maybe you could say that that's taking a stance, and that's, a method out there, deceleration. But like, the teams eventually are going to take advantage of this opportunity and not just hire former major league hitters and think that they must know so much about the swing and about movement just because they play. When you're playing professional baseball, you're spending all your time performing. I mean, really, they're kind of the last people that you would expect to know a lot about the swing. It sounds silly, I know. Like people out there can't believe when I say this, but why in the hell would somebody who's always performing know so much about the swing? I mean, the past 30 years while these guys have been performing on the field, like I've been looking at video, studying the swing, like filming major leaguers, filming amateurs. I've been dissecting the swing. There's no way I could have done the work I did had I been having to perform every day. That's a totally different thing. But anyways, DeRosa has his own take on swings, and it's just kind of like what the conventional, approach is. Here he's talking about showing your back pocket and getting into that back hip, the inside of the back knee. Look, this is not, when people talk about lower body movements, these are not separators of the grades. So it's just something that happens in a swing. So why is that? It's just, to me, it's just nonsense. I mean, it's just nonsense. It's something that people do in the swing. It's not something that's separated. We got to really change how we understand, how we talk about the swing. We're so used to just talking about things that happen in the swing. And we have to direct the conversation to, sir, are you saying that that's a separator? Is that a key move? Or is that just something that happens in the swing? So this is Yandy Diaz, and decent looking swing here. But I'm usually never a huge fan of swings that I see. I mean, I'd have to say Tatis, I really like his swing. I really like Machado, really like Acuna and Altuve are very good swings. Kyle Tucker comes to mind. But there's kind of a look today to people's swings, as there often is in many generations. I mean, in any generation, I think there's like a certain look to swings. You know, we go in and out of fads in swing instruction, and today there's a certain look. I think it's probably very affected by Richard Skank, who is no doubt. I get a lot of pushback from instructors out there saying, "Man, you overestimate or you overstate how popular Richard Skank's method is." I don't think I do. I think it's the method. Kind of like throw the hands was in the 80s. I mean, if you see somebody who doesn't have an 80s swing in the 80s, there's somebody who was, you know, not paying attention to instruction. Somehow they evaded instruction. You know, like an Eric Davis swing in the 80s, like he must have been just ignoring coaches at his time. How do you have a swing like Eric Davis in the 80s when every instructor, I mean, even today, people teach the kind of throw the hands, you know, kind of swing, stay back, throw the hands. Today's swing is not too far off from that. I mean, Richard Skank's swing ends up being very much stay back, throw the hands. And I know he says and his disciples say, no, we're against pushing. But if you are not getting hand depth and getting front humerus compression to a large degree, which they don't, they just basically keep their hands here and then fire out right in front of the chest. What else are you going to do to supply power if your hands are just staying here? You're skipping this whole link. Well, you're going to have to push out. So it ends up being very much of a push swing. And here you can see a little bit of push there, a little bit of disconnection at contact. This is typically what I see. But for today's swing, this is pretty darn lead side dominant. And you can see not a lot of flip, but this looks like a guy who's paid some attention. Run that back one more time for me, DeRosa says. Look at how he gets into that back hip. Guys, if the secret to the swing was just getting into the back hip, I mean, would have been solved like that. Like that's pretty easy to do. That bottom hand, I talk about this all the time. You see the bottom hand, this is your directional and this is your power. So the lead side is the directional and the bottom hand and the top hand, the back arm is the power. Okay. There's always some obscurity to what's taught in convention. I really would love to be the one that brings clarity to instruction, you know, because there's always been such I don't know. Just no one's really taking off. It's like, you know, even something like stay inside the ball. Like, how do you determine really that someone has done that? You know, it's always just kind of like no one's actually taking a hard stance on something. When you talk about the youth, a lot of them do not use their bottom hand. That's interesting. I don't know. When they say using bottom hand, like conventional guys like DeRosa, like just he's nothing that you wouldn't get from the guy down your street at the batting cages who gives lessons. It's the same kind of stuff. But when they say bottom hand, who knows what they're talking about? What I'm talking about is the swing. My method is, what is the swing that you want to do when using only the bottom hand? When using only your lead side, if you don't have the back arm on the bat. That's a different thing than saying, and people do get confused thinking I just mean fire out your lead side more. No, I'm saying, what if you had a regular bat or a heavy enough bat, and then you'd use just your lead arm? What do you want to do? What's the swing action that you want to do with that restriction? And that is more in line with the structure of the swing that you want. I mean, he's just presenting, creating lag. These guys don't say anything. I mean, he just doesn't say anything. Like, they're never actually saying anything. Anyways, here's Caminero. Someone wanted me to take a look at this guy's swing. Looks good right there. Look at that. Leaving the hands behind, got a lot of front humerus compression. Boom. Beautiful looking action there. But just very spread out and kind of staying back, which is typical of today's swing. You know, there's a lot of like weight just kind of staying back. And it's not terrible. I mean, it's not, you can stay back and still be very lead side, but it's just like, just kind of tired of the same look over and over again. And it's not really necessary. It's almost like they're screwing themselves into the ground. That's the way I look at it. They get real low and kind of weight is 50-50. They probably try to stay back, but since they're hitting the ball and their body knows they need to shift some weight, you know, they end up 50-50. But that's a pretty good looking swing. Someone sent me this clip from clearly the Sandlots back in like, looks like the 40s or 50s. And it's just cool because you see this kid with such a lead side dominant action. I mean, that looks like Mel Ott right there. One of the all-time pound-for-pound greats. This is the action we need to move more towards. You know, people think, guys, look, I mean, instruction in many sports are doing this. And I don't look at all the sports, obviously, but I've seen a lot of the instruction in sports, and it's really strange the way they just, they tend to veer towards worse mechanics. And their explanation of it is we're going for consistency over power. And they always shun power as being like not such a great thing. And, you know, they always want to look like they're doing the prudent, they're taking the prudent side, you know what I mean? But the bottom line is the best hitters had high amounts of power. You know, I'm sorry to say Tony Gwynn is not even close to the best hitters of all time. Why? Because he only had consistency. And so I say, like, go for both. Go for extremely high levels of both, because that's what the very best hitters had. You know? And you want to look at the best pound for pound hitters, and that's what we're going to look at today is pound for pound number 1. But look at this swing. It's just cool to see. This is what kids naturally will want to do. I mean, that's the thing. We don't really need instructors out there. I'm sorry to say, you know, we don't really need it. And I actually try to make myself, you know, not needed by my students. I mean, the best thing would be for somebody to take my method. You know, it rehabs their swing because maybe they've been affected by conventional instruction, and then they're off. You know, we don't really need instructors. You know, kids will naturally want to do this kind of action. And this is a good thing. You know, this is a heavy bat in this kid's hand. I'm sure it's a wood bat, and he's not very strong. And he probably developed this. He probably has been swinging a bat like this for 5 years now, back when he was 5 or 6 years old. And this is the swing that develops. Great looking action there. That's awesome. You can see he uses his body into the hit really well. The Sandlots. Now let's get to a question. I want to try to move somewhat quickly here. I don't want to get too bogged down. This is a question about BP. And like this gentleman was questioning I guess the purpose of batting practice. And I totally agree. You know, I've been saying this for many years now. I don't think batting practice is, I mean, maybe it's a good tool pre-game just to kind of warm up. But even then, why not see more realistic live pitching? and he's saying here, let's see, he's given reasons why BP is not effective. Let's see, BP pitchers don't change line of sight. Not sure what that means. Maybe because they're just throwing from the same place every time. They're just throwing meatballs up there, right? That's what BP is. And if you just need to warm up your swing, you can use a tee. I just don't think you need to have. It's kind of a waste of time and space to have a pitcher throwing BP. I mean, especially if you're just practicing. If it's pregame, I kind of get it because you're just kind of you're just warming up. It's like the layup line in basketball. You're just warming up. In BP, the pitchers throws the ball every 5 seconds or so. In a game, it's more like 12. Sure. Look, I think the best form of practice there's two forms of practice that I would do: tee work and absolutely live pitching. Like play one-on-one baseball with someone. That's really the best. First of all, it's fun. It's competitive. Just have someone pitch to you. Forget the L screen. Forget all that stuff. If you want to wear a helmet or something like that out there pitching, I don't know, but whatever. But just play one-on-one baseball. That's what Ted Williams did. And he saw so many more live pitches than his competition. In a game, the hitter's breathing can change because of the situation. In BP, breathing is very rhythmic and natural. Yeah. I mean, it's a different, but that's why if you're playing one-on-one baseball, it can actually get to the point where you are, putting some pressure on yourself. You really want to get a hit in a certain situation. And maybe you do get that adrenaline going up a little bit more. It's the best way to make it normal. So many kids out there, so many players at all levels are going up to pitches in a game, and they haven't seen a live pitch for weeks. And they should be comfortable seeing so many different kinds of live pitches. Let's see. But my question is, have you ever thought of doing a vlog where you discuss what coaches can do to make BP more game-like? You've revolutionized hitting instruction already. Thank you for that. Just wondered if you've ever thought about that aspect of coaching too. How to make BP more game-like? I mean, if you have a coach who can throw some heat and can throw good curveballs, it's really not rocket science, guys. You have to simulate what's going on in a game at some point in order to make practice as effective as possible. And we all know that nobody's seeing live pitches. We're seeing soft toss. We're seeing tee work. We're seeing front toss. We're seeing batting practice pitches. We're seeing machine pitches, which as you guys know, I talk about a lot. I think it's just terrible, the machine work, because that's actually what you don't want to really see. It's just the way it comes out. Everything is just it's not the way you want to see the ball. Here's a swing that someone sent me. I wanted to go over. Notice the dartboard in the background. That's awesome. Big fan of darts. Make sure you throw with both hands on the dartboard. Get that offhand nice and coordinated. So let's see. Obviously, he has, this is typical of today where they just kind of leave that leg up. This is a Richard Skank thing, Sorry, this is just this is Richard Skank's influence. He might have the biggest influence so far in swing instruction by a non-player. I mean, certainly by a non- affiliated MLB guy. I think I had a little bit of influence back in the 2010s, but I kind of backed out soon after I was getting a lot of publicity. Richard Skank has embraced all the publicity he's gotten, and he's working with Aaron Judge, and there's a big influence right now. And I would say for sure, Charlie Lau was a big influence in the 80s. I don't think Ted Williams was a big his book didn't really, take a hard stance on any type of swing action that you can decipher. But I would say Charlie Lau was the only other guy I can think of who had a big influence. But nowadays, I mean, everyone's doing this kind of hanging on the back leg, you know. And obviously this guy's been influenced by that, because you can see he's just, look at him hanging back. So he's kind of combined, and I see this a lot by people who kind of go from Skank, which is a lot of people who follow my stuff are trying to rehab their swing because they went to Skank, and they have so much of Skank's teachings that are still living in their swing, and this guy does. I like to see a little bit more weight shift, but he's got great front humerus compression. It looks good. It looks like he's done a lot of lead arm swings. Nice connection there. Just swing with just the lead side, guys. Make it smooth and natural. See what you want to do. I would guess that he would probably want to do more kind of thrusting of the torso into the hit, more weight shift. And what happens is, because the bat itself and the hitting the ball pushes back on your body so much, if you haven't shifted a lot of weight, you end up, look how much he's leaning back. I don't really like that. It tells me that the torso wasn't getting into the hit enough, and so it kind of pushed you back. And I mean, the big thing these days is why do they say leaning back these days? Well, because they say that you're going to be able to time the pitch better. You have to stay back to time it. I don't see why you have to stay back to time it. Can you not shift some weight and wait on the pitch? What's the difference? You haven't totally committed just because you shift your weight. So here are my shirts that are available at theswingmechanic.com. I wanted to tell you guys about that. The swing, as you know, is a movement that's deep in our DNA. And I really think that this is why we love sports like baseball, like golf. All tennis. Like we hunted with stones and clubs. And no doubt these things were sitting around, and I'm sure they started saying, hey, we're just hanging out here. We got a ball and we got a bat. Let's hit it. I mean, and here we are, a million years later, and we have these games that we play. Now, the swing that I think we were evolved for, I don't think it's probably, it's not the same as the swing that is required in golf and baseball. And that's why I think that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of people have so much trouble with it, is because probably the one we hunted with was more back arm dominant. It's just a different thing. I mean, killing an animal with a club is just a different, it's a different objective than it's trying to hit a ball in a 90-degree fair territory field that is pitched to you from a guy who's 60 feet away. It's a very kind of a crazy thing. I mean, I'm sure our ancestors would look at it and be like, what what is that? But anyways, this is the shirt that I have. This is the back of it. The front of it is got the Swing Mechanic logo. So check it out at theswingmechanic.com. I have a link. I'll have a link under in the description to this video. So hope to see you guys in those shirts. Send me a pic of yourself in those shirts if you get one. So the pound for pound best hitter of all time, here he is. So you guys probably know who this is by now. This is Willie Mays. Let me see if there are any. That's a good position. I just want to see some comments. He gets forward pretty good for a modern swing. Front foot is in a much more natural position than a lot of modern swings where their ankles roll over. So talking about the swing that was sent in. Yeah, I think it's good looking. And again, guys, that lead arm, I like to see this. I do like to see a longer lead arm. It just goes along. I mean, it just tells me that they're definitely feeling more lead side. It's typically what it is. If you can have a bent lead arm feeling more lead side, Mookie Betts, Trout is sometimes kind of bent. Mike Schmidt was very bent. You can still be very lead side with a bent arm. Not everyone likes to have the lead arm very straight when utilizing more lead side. I just don't think it doesn't really matter. But more often when the arm is really straight, it's kind of a clear indication that they're just more lead side. But it's a good looking swing. I would just say get that torso moving into the hit. We're going to see Willie Mays, and he's going to show that because Mays was great at getting the torso more into the hit. Here he is, nice and connected there. Willie Mays weighted, I think, 170, 175, somewhere around there. Hit 50 or more homers, I think, twice in his career. Ended his career with, I think, like a 303 or something batting average. I mean, he really could be said to be the best player of all time. And the guy weighs like 180, 170, 180, somewhere around there. It's pretty insane. It's really insane. I mean, he really deserves the #1 spot on the pound for pound list. But you can see nice connection there. Beautiful connection. And then look at the wide finish. Here he is again, kind of reaching out a little bit. He did that a lot. His hitting was very messy in that way. Today we all want to be very much in a box and like hitting is messy. I think it was Perry Husband who coined that. I believe I'm correct in that, but I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but I do agree with that. Hitting is messy. Like, don't think that you need to be in a perfect position every time. You're going to be more like this a lot of times. Like you see Willie Mays here, and he got a hit on that one. Look at that. Look at the barrel just drop flat, lead arm compressed up against the body nicely. Clearly more lead side there. And this looks a lot like that gentleman's swing we just saw, except for look at the spine angle here. It's straight up and down. And he's not pulling himself back through the swing. And therefore, he's able to go out and get pitches a little bit too. That's another advantage of shifting some weight to the front side. You can shift your spine angle forward. We saw that from Hank Aaron. And another thing we see from Mays is pulling that lead shoulder out towards left field. We see that from Gamble. We see that from Ogilvy. They pulled that shoulder out and around, and it kind of whipped the bat in to the zone. Here's a home run. Nice looking connection there, whipping the bat through. Here's a home run to right field. Again, nice and wide with that finish. Here's that humorous compression, barrel dropping, hands dropping nicely. Again, telling me that the back arm is not pushing out, not taking over. He's pulling more with the lead side, using his body rotation into the hit. There you can see beautiful connection there at contact. There's contact, nice connection. You can see that bottom hand is, it's just not, it's not like exerting really hard. You know, it's more or less going along for the ride. Still hasn't flipped over. There's no flip. Barrel dropping nicely. Look at him, torso going out to get it. See that torso kind of reaching up, going out to get the pitch. We don't have enough of this right here in today's swing. Guys look at this and they say, oh, that would never last today. Oh, you could never get away with that. I think we need more weight shift. That whole staying back thing is not necessary. And it's going to take a while. I mean, I would think it'd be kind of hard for a guy who's been staying back so much to change. But I think the more lead side, the lead arm progression, front arm progression, whatever you want to call it, is really a good answer to that. Because it gets you to stop thinking so much about all these really inconsequential things that conventional instruction has had guys do, you know, tilting over towards the plate, staying back, hand, like most of that stuff, all of that stuff is inconsequential. It's not necessary. Some of it actually detracts from your ability, takes away from your ability, makes you worse, like hands to the ball. I mean, you can't do hands to the ball and be more lead side. It's almost the definition of not being more lead side. And people look at that and they kind of laugh at that position that he's in there. But I mean, he's practicing getting that torso into the hit. That's where your mass is, right, guys? I mean, mass is the one underrated thing in today's instruction. Nobody talks about it. Everything is bat speed. There's bat mass too. You know, you want the mass of your body to be as close to the point of contact as possible. And you can do that in several ways, but one of the ways is to actually move, like be able to move your torso forward into the hit. Look how much his head moves. You know, that people talk about no head movement. Just look at this. Look how much. What is that? How much do you guys think that is? 2 feet? Oh, don't move your head. You won't be able to see the ball. Is that true? How did the number one pound for pound hitter of all time move his head? There's the key move. That's what you need to do. Forget the rest. If you guys are slotting well, that's 99% of the swing, guys. Forget the rest. And you want to learn how to slot well? Just swing with just the lead arm. You know, we're overcomplicating it because nobody out there has it understood. And when you, man, it's dangerous. You go to the down the street hitting guy, and he is someone who hasn't, you know, understood the swing completely. He's going to lead you in so many different swing thoughts. I mean, I look on Instagram and YouTube, and I see guys going over the swing and, you know, going over somebody's swing, and they have like, by the time they're done analyzing this guy's swing, they pointed out 25 things that you should be paying attention to. His knee should be, look at his knee. It's pointing towards first base here. Look at the back foot. It's, I mean, so what? Your method is that people should be thinking about 25 different things in a 1 second movement? What is your method? What is your stance? You know, because I say just swing with the lead arm and see where that takes you. That's pretty short. That's one sentence. That's my approach. Here he is. Look at him. Nice and connected there through contact. Look at the torso leaning forward. You know who we will see this at times from? It's a player who just somewhat recently retired. One of the best hitters of all time. Probably a tier 5 hitter. Level 5 hitter is what I would call him, somewhere around there, maybe level 6. Albert Pujols. He would lean forward a little bit through contact. You guys can find images of him online at contact. You will see a little bit of tilt forward. And look at that wide finish. How nice is that? Interesting, a right-handed hitter, taking his hand off the bat. You don't see that often. But I'm in favor of it. I like taking the hand off the bat. It's really neither here nor there, but I would say that I would lean towards taking the back arm hand off the bat after contact. This is a good look at just how much he's kind of thrusting and extending his body through the hit. This tells me there's a lot of lead side in it. You see this look at that. His head goes from, look how low it is. This is a lead side move. This is what you want to do when utilizing more lead side. Look how much his head moves up and he's extending through it. That's a lead side move. You guys grab a bat and hit balls with just your lead arm. This is something you'll want to do. Beautiful action by Willie Mays, man. He was just, look at that. That looks a lot to me like Jim Wynn, another right-handed pound-for-pound great. And by the way, when you get in the top 30 of the pound-for-pound hitters, they're all at the same level. I mean, they're pretty much pound-for-pound ridiculousness. If you're in the top 30, you guys, they are just the creme de la creme, right? Well, Jim Wynn is a top 30 guy. I think we went over his swing in this countdown. He was one of the, I want to say he's like in the 19 or somewhere around there. But this is a position that looks very much like Wynn. And there he is going out to get that pitch. Look at that. He's a little early on the pitch. And he just is able to just drop his hands on it. If you take away his back arm, just cover it with your fingers. You can see this is very much what you would be in if you were swinging with just the lead side. He's utilizing his body. He's going out. He's bringing his body closer to the point of contact. It's a huge advantage of being able to shift a little bit of weight into the hit, which you can't do if you're hanging on your back foot. He gets a hit out of this. And if you're hanging back on your back leg, you're waving weakly at this. I think of Dave Winfield. He was the best messy, ugly hitter ever, and in my opinion. And I really wonder if he was affected, if his idol was Willie Mays, because he looks a lot like Willie Mays in that regard. Not every hit is just perfectly beautiful. Like, hitting's messy. And there's nothing wrong with going out and getting that pitch like that. Look at the back arm just chilling out, going along for the ride more or less here. Beautiful connection there at contact. Back arm is at 90 degrees. Just textbook looking swing right there. And again, the nice wide finish. There's no way to do what Willie Mays did. There's no way to be the number one pound for pound hitter of all time. Zero chance. If you had a swing like, say, Tony Gwynn. And Tony Gwynn had some lead side in his swing, but no chance. You couldn't be as valuable as Willie Mays with a Tony Gwynn style swing. And what do people say when they see Tony Gwynn swing? Perfect. That's perfect. Everyone just loves Tony Gwynn. And by the way, I'm a huge fan. It's in my nature to be more of like the Punch and Judy kind of guy. I mean, that's just the way I like. I'm cool with like getting a little bit every now and then. I've never been drawn to the home run guy, but as I've gotten older, as I've studied the swing, it doesn't make sense to go up there with a slappy swing. It just doesn't make sense. You've already eliminated yourself from being even in the conversation of best hitter in your league or best hitter on your team. Because most likely there's a guy who's very lead side dominant and wants to kind of crush the ball, and he's going to be more valuable than you. It just takes away, like you're setting the bar so much lower. You couldn't do what Willie Mays does with a swing like Tony Gwynn. Impossible. What was his OPS plus? Tony Gwynn's was 138, something like that, and 134. And Willie Mays was, I want to say he was in the 150s. Now I got to look at it. $155. So, you couldn't do it with Tony Gwynn's swing. So, do you want a swing that's going to limit the ceiling, or do you want a swing that's going to at least put you in the running and make the game really more fun and exciting? And gives you a chance. There you can see the lead side action there. Look at the hands just being left behind. And he's whipping it around with his torso rotation. This, I think, is maybe the last swing here. Nice BP swing. The key, guys, is not just utilizing more of the lead side, but also making the back arm behave. And it's that combination. When you guys are working on your swing, it's the combination of those two things. And why do I say that? Because if you're just swinging with the lead side and you're getting the structure down, you're understanding this is what I want to do with just my lead arm. And well, when you add your back arm, if it hasn't been taught how to move, it's going to disrupt everything that you've done. You're going to go right back to what you've been doing, or what you were doing before you were training your lead side. It's going to go back to the same old swing. So it's the combination of things. That's why the lead arm progression is so important. You have to also train the back arm. And the hovering of the back arm, the step 2 that I describe in my book, Swing Like Griffey. Also in my course, if you join my YouTube channel, you'll see the course, which basically goes over the Swing Like Griffey book, but in video form. And I talk all about the lead arm progression. Really the only drill you need to get 99% of what's important in the swing. Look at that finish there. Now compare that to the gentleman we looked at, and I don't mean to pick on him. He looks exactly like a lot of the guys I see who send me swings. They have this kind of hybrid swing between me and Skank. But look at this finish. I mean, other than the feet being a little farther apart, it's kind of like a golf finish, right? You're balanced. You're like, it just looks right. The eye test, the famous eye test that I always talk about. Like, what's it look like to you? What looks more pretty to you? That's probably the better mechanics. Our eyes can decipher good mechanics. And this looks better, right? Well, it's also mechanically better than leaning back so much. So there you go. Willie May. Oh, we got one more. Boom. Just smashing that ball. This is what the statue of Mays should look like. That's just a textbook. I mean, not textbook. That's just a quintessential Willie Mays, you know, position right there. It's like he always did that, kind of leaning towards first base as he finished his swing. Awesome. So there you have it. Let me see if I have any questions, then I'll just sign off after that. I really think Braden says, I really think this style swing can handle more bat size weight. Mass is gas. My boy is 5'3". This is Ron. Hey, what's up, Ron? And can decently swing a 33-30. Love this swing. Yeah. A good question as far as like, I don't know how heavy or big the bat was that Mays used. A lot of the guys chose heavier bats back then. I'm not sure. Maybe they just kind of knew. I mean, it's been the trend to go towards really light bats in the past 20, 30 years. And I agree with Ron. Like, I think that we should actually be looking to do the opposite, not only for our mechanics, but because, body mass is important. But as the mass gets closer to the point of contact, it's more important in terms of how much influence it's going to have in the hit. So therefore, big forearms are good. Big biceps and triceps are important. I think a big upper back and shoulders and traps are important. Maybe a big neck. All those muscles are important for the and the bottom the bottom half of your body is important too. But I think in terms of the mass applied to the hit, the closer the muscle is to the point of contact, the more influence it's going to have on the mass behind the hit. But you can't get any closer to the point of contact than the bat itself. So I think we do need to start looking at, using heavier bats. DM says you can handle heavier bats. I let my 4-year-old use a 35-35 Lou Gehrig replica, and he sorted it while having fun. Yeah, for sure. Put a heavy bat in the kid's hands. For sure. When I played Little League, I was the only one in my Little League who used a wooden bat. And I was doing it because in my head, my reasoning was I was preparing to play in the majors, and who cares how I play now? I'm preparing for later. But I didn't really start early enough. And plus, I was influenced by the conventional instruction at the time. So I had a very back arm dominant action, especially as I kind of bought into instruction and the years went on. I think possibly I had a decent swing very early on, but it wasn't long before I was looking at instructional books. I mean, almost right away. And so I was definitely affected by that. So I didn't really get a heavy bat in my hands early enough. But for those fathers out there, for sure, put a heavy bat in the kid's hands. If he wants to use just a kind of a more of a regular weighted and sized bat for games, that's fine. But if he wants to use a heavy bat for games, I'm all for that. If he wants to just stick with that bat, but for a practice bat, for the majority of swings that they're taking, I really think for sure put a heavy bat in their hands. Wood is probably fine. Maybe an inch bigger than what kids are using for his age. But Matthew Vila says, I was gonna say part of the pound for pound debate should be what type of pitching pitchers they faced or their history against some elites. Pitching has come a long way, and I think that's why there's so much. I'm not sure I understand it fully, but I tend to push back a little bit on that pitching has come a long way thing. I mean, I don't know where people are getting that information, you know? I don't know. I really question that. Um, I hear the same thing in hitting, and like everyone just assumes everything is getting better. Hitters are better. I mean, it just feels better. It feels better to me too. I want to say that I live in the era of the best hitters of all time. I want to say I live in the era of the best everything of all time. I just don't know how true it is. I really don't. I mean, was Bob Feller, uh, you know, uh, these guys, Joe Wood, apparently threw really hard. Christy Mathewson, you know, and hitters didn't wear helmets. I mean, they had very crude equipment. There's been there's a TED talk that a guy gives. Forget his name, but I mentioned it in my course, where he says that a lot of the stuff that people are saying, modern athletes are so much better. A lot of that stuff is just equipment changes. Like, and he uses Jesse Owens as an example of all the tremendous equipment changes that have happened. And if you take away from, if you basically, if you discount those equipment changes, or if you were to give Jesse Owens the same equipment, the difference between him and the best of today is almost negligible, is what his argument is. Look, there's a lot to be said for, you know, are our athletes bigger and stronger? That looks to be the case. I mean, that actually probably can't be argued. I don't think there's ever been a hitter, I don't think, as big as Judge, pretty sure. Um, and then you look at, there's but that might be where it stops. The ideal combination could be, let's take the bigness of athletes today and combine it with the technique of guys back in the day. I think that's probably more true to to the ideal situation, and probably what we'll move towards in the next 10 or 20 years, is maintaining this rise in the and simply the muscle mass and the weight and strength of hitters today, but going back to the mechanics that they displayed more in the Sandlot days. Um, Jamie, do you think ball flight? Do you ever think ball flight when you instruct? I'm thinking a draw to the pool side that gets over the heads of the infielders would be most productive. Um, I mean, I think that overcomplicates hitting, to think about how you want the ball to fly after you hit it. When hitting off a tee, that's a different story. I think the what you're looking for off of a tee is kind of like what you're looking for off of a tee in golf, which is a straight ball. Hard and straight is what you're looking for, because hard and straight is really the ideal hit in a game. I mean, you could almost look at baseball as we're kind of trying to do the same thing as golf. We're trying to hit it as straight and hard as possible. I know that the hardest hits are pulled, and um, you know, but really the challenge is we're trying to get it in fair territory. And when we hit it foul, we're kind of mishitting it a little bit. So the ideal hit would be straight. And I think that's what you should be shooting for off of a tee. So I think that off of a tee, I do think about ball flight. And as you hit more and more off a tee, you'll see that you'll get a little bit of a straighter, and especially with better mechanics, you'll more consistently hit it straight and hard. And that's what you're looking for. Um, pitching hasn't come as far as some would like to believe. I believe that too. And even if it has come a little ways, like people want to say it's come so far that the mechanics that worked back then are obsolete. And one, I don't see, I think that that's a stretch. But two, then why are we seeing similar mechanics in the pound for pound greats of today? Like we're seeing the same kind of patterns, like an Altuve, like a Acuna, a Kyle Tucker. Like we tend to see more a Mike Trout, a Machado, a Tatis. Like, why are these guys displaying the same kind of things that we see? Lead arm compression, straighter lead arm, more connection at contact, wider finish. Why are we seeing so many of these guys today have more of this, the same sort of things that we're seeing from the pound for pound greats from long ago? I just think that whole thing where like pitching is, and I'm not saying anyone here is making that argument, but the whole thing is ridiculous when people say, well, the pitching's different now, therefore you couldn't get away with the mechanics that guys were getting away with back then. That seems ridiculous. I mean, for the most part, the game is the game. The game is the pitcher's way too damn close and throwing way too damn hard. And he's putting movement on it. That's the game. It hasn't really changed that much. Are pitchers faster? Possibly, but I don't think Ruth would have any problem with that. I don't think Mays would have any problem with that. I really don't. You look at Griffey, man. Griffey, look at him against lefties who threw heat. Unbelievable. The guy doesn't flinch at all. Heat didn't bother him. And Ruth, he hit just the same against Hall of Fame pitchers of his time. Heat didn't bother him either. And I think a big part of that is lead side mechanics. I mean, the lead side mechanics don't open you up to get hit in the face as much, to get hit where it hurts as much. You're closing that shoulder more to start the swing. So, the modern pitcher is less available in non-throw and none throw fadeaway screwballs. Yeah, they didn't have what was it? What was it that was outlawed? I'm drawing a blank. Was it a spitball? Yeah, I guess a spitball. Yeah, I mean, pitchers were more, they were able to throw spitballs, many of them, in the 20s. I think Ruth really had it hard. No helmet. A guy just died the year that he had the best year of all time and basically started his hitting career. Ray Chapman died in 1920. Like try standing up in front of pitchers without a helmet on after a guy just died and tell me that hitting was easier back then. And you have a log in your hands. Always educational and get people thinking about how they view the swing. Thank you. That's Josh. Thanks, Josh. Hitting done right. Yeah, I mean, I hope to do more than just make people think. I mean, I think that we'll be and we are seeing guys move more towards this lead side, understanding of the swing. Anyways, check out my site if you guys want to support what I do. I would appreciate it. I have a community that I'm starting also. It's called School, SKOOL, and they create online kind of like schools, like communities. And I'm creating that because this the YouTube membership doesn't allow me to kind of connect with you guys as much as I'd like. So that'll be coming out shortly. As always, I have my Swing Like Griffey book and lead arm training bat, back arm trainer at the site, theswingmechanic.com. Also the t-shirts that are really cool. I like those t-shirts. You guys, if you want to support my stuff and wear a cool t-shirt, check that out at theswingmechanic.com. School is great. Awesome. I'm trying to learn it a little bit. And at first it's going to be a little bit, touch and go for the first few guys who join. But the advantage for you guys who are early joiners of my school, my online community, when it comes out, is that I'll be able to, pay more attention to you. But I will be a little less knowledgeable than I'm going to be in a couple months to the platform. But should be good. I mean, I'm really excited to have kind of more of this, like where I'm interacting with you guys. But it'll be, I mean, we'll have live, Zoom calls. We'll kind of, I mean, everything that we couldn't do in the YouTube membership, I mean, it basically solves all those problems. We're just going to be able to connect much better. I also have a retreat that I'm looking to fill for this fall. It's going to be in September. Email me if you guys are interested in doing that retreat. It's going to be in Lake Tahoe. If I get enough guys to do it, we'll have a retreat. So email me at jamie@theswingmechanic.com. It's JAIME @theswingmechanic.com if you're interested. And I'm starting an email list of guys that are interested in doing this in-person retreat. Love to see you guys out there. I think it'd be good. Again, I'm just trying to connect more with the community here, and help you guys a little bit better. I feel like a little bit more at a distance from you guys, even though I'm making the videos, I'm listening to you guys, but there's still kind of there's not that immediate, more face-to-face kind of conversations going on. Definitely will join the community when you get it going. Awesome, Ty. Look forward to it. I hope to see Josh there too. Maybe Josh, you can come to the Tahoe thing. But look, if I can't fill the Tahoe thing, I'm not upset about that. I understand. But I figured I'm going to make an effort to do it because it looks like there are people who would like to do it more in person. And at some point, I'm sure it'll be filled. It may not be this year, but again, I think the whole movement is kind of growing. I think that it's look, I'm not saying that it's the ultimate truth, what I espouse, but I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think it was more true than anything that I see out there in terms of a conventional approach to the swing. So it's at least from what I can tell, it's at least more true, and that's all we can really ask for. When we're looking to, work on our swing, anyways, I think I've rambled enough. Thank you guys for coming on. It's been good hanging out with you guys. And trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's it. Thank you guys. Appreciate your questions, and I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.